morning. Welcome to Books by Ivan. My name is Ivan and I read books. There's a fun fact. There are two videos left for this book, this one included. So after this video, there will be another one and it will be the end of this book. We're currently on chapter 20 and this video will cover chapter 20 to 23. And since there are 26 chapters, the next video will be 24 to 26. So 3 chapters perfectly divided. Let's do a quick recap of the last video. The last video pretty much was about romance. When I read it, it made me think about Dead Poet Society for some reason, which they don't correlate at all, but that's what it reminded me of. Wayaki and Muthoni are both in love. That's clear. It has been made clear in the book. They are in love. But Muthoni, right, rejected, well, I guess you can say rejected. She turned down Wayaki's proposal for marriage because she is afraid of what her father will do to her. So that's pretty much where it stopped in the last video. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, make yourself comfortable. Grab a cup of coffee. This is The River Between, chapter 20. Wayaki went from ridge to ridge, meeting elder after elder. They came to him and felt comforted by the blaze in his eyes. He had a passion to live for. His God, education, guided him, showed him the light, made him overcome personal frustration and hardship. It drove him through hills and valleys, through the forest and darkness of the night. He had not yet stopped to think where all this was leading, whether the new awareness and enthusiasm he had helped to create would be quenched by education. If anybody had suddenly asked him a question in that direction, he might have burst out, unite and build more schools. By the way, I feel like I should say this, but outside right now, it is getting darker and windy, so you're gonna hear some odd noise in the background. I'm just letting you know, it's the wind. Nothing to worry about. I'm gonna try to reduce the audio, but it's just the wind. It's blowing insanely right now. Let's get back to reading, shall we? But just now, he was faced with the task of getting more teachers for the school already built. Something had to be done. Again, Serenia was the only place which could still produce men with necessary education for carrying on the teaching in the ridges. So he one day made a sudden journey to a ridge near Serenia, where he met some young men who were in their final year at the missionary place. He talked to them and pleaded with them. They agreed to his proposal but asked him to go back before Christmas Day to strengthen out the arrangement. At home, the Kiyama was getting more and more power over the people. The cry that started the new school was again taken up. Keep the tribe pure. And people listened to them because they did not want the tribe to die. And the Kiyama wanted to fight for the land which had now been taken by the settler, the missionary, and the government. Goboni and his followers went from ridge to ridge, getting people to take the oath of allegiance to the purity of the tribe. People knew that their teacher had taken such an oath, and he had been one of the leaders of the Kiyama at least before he resigned. Nobody could break this oath. Nobody who had taken it will ever betray the tribe. The old rivalry went on, and it was spreading to the other ridge. Joshua's center was Mukuyu, while Camino was seen as the center of the tribe. The teacher came from there. Wayaki did not like to be identified with either side. He was now committed to reconciliation. But since those 2 memorable meetings, things had gone from bad to worse. each group seemed more arrogant and more confident in itself than ever. Joshua preached with more vigor than ever. His followers sang damnation to the pagans openly and defiantly. Joshua was identified as the enemy of the tribe. He was with Syrinia, with the white settlers. For now, it was said that Syrinia missionaries had been sent to prepare the way for the settlers. The white people were now pouring into the interior in greater and greater numbers. Indian traders, too, had come and were beginning to carry on a thriving business. For Wayaki, the fleeting feeling of guilt at having failed to preach reconciliation was now growing stronger. He had missed the opportunity at a time when he could have made his stand clear. A combination of events, excitement, and Kabuni had made him lose the moment when he had the people for various wage under control. Would such a chance come again? He would bide his time. He would wait for another moment, a moment when he would preach reconciliation, tolerance, and unity. Then his work would be done. His missions of enlightenment through education would prosper. Earthly next year, there would be another conference of the parents. Then he would speak his mind. Wayaki continued working hard day by day. The moments of self-blame came to him these days with greater and greater vigor and persistence. But he had still his joy when an old man, a woman, or a child stopped him and shook his hand with him, a smile of trust on their faces. He was thankful that he had left the Kiyama. He would not have been able to carry on its activities and those of the new schools committee. It is pouring outside. Wow. He often thought of Nyambura. It pained him that she had refused him. Often he tried to whistle the whole thing off. He could only do this by throwing himself into activity. Kinuthia came to him after school. He came with an air of secrecy. I would like to talk with you. You have never warned me before wherever you want to speak with me. Please do not laugh so. Kinuthia begged him. I think it is serious. What? What I hear, is it true? You have not told me anything about it. I am in the dark. Wayaki could see that something serious weighed heavily on Kinuthia. Now Kinuthia seemed embarrassed. You have... There was a pause. In that pause, Wayaki felt the silence in the school. The children had gone home, and Kamo, with the new teacher who had joined Mario Shawnee, had left. Wayaki said, I am still waiting. He has become one of Joshua's followers. Me? Who says so? Nobody really. Perhaps a joke, for example. How are people like rumors? A few people have been talking here and there. Well, it is said that you have been seeing Joshua's church many times. I've been there once, but what is wrong in going there? Not only that, it is said that some month ago you went to Serenia. You had a long walk with white men there. You want to sell the people. Wayaki laughed. He knew he need not to take it seriously. There was nothing in it but rumors. That must have been the time he went to see young men near Serena about teaching in the ridge. So he said, well, and Wayaki looked up. There was a change in voice of Kinuthia. Let's go and sit on the grass. They moved in silence and sat on the grassy spot in front of the school. Is it true that you're intending to marry Joshua's daughter? Kinuthia asked as soon as they had sat down. Wayaki almost jumped, and I am shook. My God! This came to him as a surprise. Me too. He had not met Nyambura since that day, and again the memory of her refusal came back, numbing him. This was irony that people should talk of this possible marriage to Nyambura when she had in fact refused him. And Kinuthia was talking with great excitement. Be careful, Wayaki. You know the people look up to you. You are the symbol of the tribe, born again with all its purity. They adore you. They worship you. You do not know about the new oath. You have been too busy, but they are taking the new oath in the name of the teacher and the purity of the tribe. And remember, Kabuni hates you, and I hate him too. But not Wayaki, I hate Kabuni. He would kill you if he could, and he is one who is doing all this. Why? The Kiyama has power. Power. And your name is in it, giving it even greater power. Your name would be your ruin. Be careful. Kinuthia was really excited. His voice was full of concern and anxiety. Wayaki laid his hand on Kinuthia. It is all right. She will not marry me, and they will not do anything to me. There are young men there. I know them. They are loyal to Kabuni, and they are sworn to keep the tribe pure and punish betrayal. I tell you, she will not marry me, so it is true. What? That you'll marry her? Listen, Kinuthia, I tell you, she will not accept me. He went to see an elder a few weeks after this. The elder was a close associate of Kabuni. The old man talked about Wayaki's own father and grandfather. He praised them for their bravery. He ended by saying that they never would have betrayed the tribe. Wayaki went home, his heart glowing with pride. His ancestor had done well. But at night, it suddenly occurred to him that the old man hinted a warning to him. What made Wayaki connect this warning and Kinuthia information? Yet the more he thought about it, the more it all seemed to become clear. Christmas was approaching. This season of the year coincided with the coming tribal ceremonies and ritual. Okay. Wayaki did not take part in them as much as he used to. His wish was becoming almost more than he could manage. Many teachers from all over the reach came to see him, and many elders and children came to him with various problems. But in spite of all this, Wayaki was losing that contact with people that can only come through taking part together in a ritual. He was becoming too obsessed with the school and the widening rift and divisions. Then it happened. It was a thing that scared everyone. Such a thing had never happened before. A herd that belonged to one of Joshua's newest followers was burned. Nobody was hurt, but everything that was in the hut was destroyed. Wayaki could not tell why, but he connected the incident with Kiyama. Was Kabuni determined to destroy all that stood against him and the tribe? The realization came to him as a shock. He instantly thought that he should not have resigned from the Kiyama. Its power and influence was there, everywhere. I'm seriously starting to dislike Kabuni. Seriously, he is becoming a pain in my buttocks. You're jealous of the man that was prophesied. I mean, what can you do? He outdo you in every single way. Stop being jealous of the guy. You're pissing me off. Seriously. I need to calm down. I need to calm down before I read chapter 21. So, let me take a sip of water and we'll go right back to this. Buenissimo. Chapter 21. When the service was over, Nyambura went home to prepare food for her father. He came with some other people. Nyambura could not rest. After she had given them something to eat, she went out. She did not know what she wanted to do or where she wanted to go. All she wanted was to be alone. She had never been the same since she rejected Wayaki's offer for marriage. She kept her outward calmness. At home, she did all her small jobs as usual, but she was becoming more irritable and often resented her father's commands. She wanted to leave over again the moment when she stood in Wayaki's arm, feeling that all was well. She had often prayed that Wayaki should come to her, should love her and save her from misery. That almost happened. He loved her, but she could not marry him. It was the thought that she was the one who had refused him which most troubled her. Would he understand? She feared that she might never see him again. Why had she said no, when she would have been happier saying yes? She loved him. She wanted him. He was her only savior. Yet, when he came to her, she had run away from him. It was difficult for her to rebel against her father. He was always there, at the back of her, a weight, a conscience that showed her only one way to follow. But it was a way she did not want to follow. She now wished to rebel. Methoni had done it. Nyambura had not Methoni's courage. And so she struggled. And so the struggle went on in her heart. At home, at one time, I'm so sorry, I keep on making mistakes. At one time, she would want to go to seek Wayaki out and ask him to take her again. She would whisper to him, Wayaki, I love you. At other times, she would fight against her feelings for him, and she would feel proud that she had stuck to her father. She was not sure if Joshua had so far heard about her being seen with Wayaki. She never understood why she had told Wayaki a lie. He knows we have met, yet she was convinced it was not a lie. She had always had a feeling that Joshua knew. It could be the way he looked at her, or it could be the way he twisted his preaching to remind her and others of the absolute necessity of keeping away from pagans, however learned. And then a few days before she met Wayaki, her mother had spoken to her privately. Wayaki is a good young man, but people can talk, you know. We do not want any more trouble in this house. I cannot bear it, not after Methoni. Another woman had just then called on them, and so Nyambura had not had a chance of hearing all that her mother had to say. Nyambura knew that her mother liked Wayaki, for Miriamu had never forgotten that it was Wayaki who had showed most concern at the plight of Methoni. It was he who had taken her to the hospital. Every night she prayed to Christ that Wayaki might find salvation and come to their side. Nyambura went to her usual place by Honya River. Her heart beat fast as she came near the place. It was there, in the forest, that she had stood and rested in his arms. It was there that she had heard from his own lips that he loved her. She thought that he might still be there waiting for her. She crossed the river and tore through the bush, hoping, praying that Wayaki might be there. Would she tell him that now she was ready to marry him and go to live with him forever? But she knew he would not be there after all. She had not been to the place since they had parted. Still, it hurt her that he was not there. Her heart accused him of unfaithfulness. Surely, he ought to come and see her. He must come again. Now, her misery mingled with despair, and she felt she could hate him. Of course, it was all ridiculous, and inside her, she was accusing herself for having rejected him. She went back to the up. I swear, if she ends up meeting Methoni, here, or is it Kabuni? Yeah, if she ends up meeting Kabuni here and she says yes to him, I'm ending this book. I'm so serious. If, right, Kabuni ends up asking her out and she says yes, I'm not reading this book any further. I'm so serious. I'm going to stop. Let's go back to reading and find out what happens. She went back to the opposite bank and sat in her favorite spot. To her left was open ground, where the candidates for circumcision went to shed their blood. Maternity had come here in the morning of her sacrifice. Nyambura did not feel at peace. The river no longer soothed her. When the evening came and the birds began to fly away, Nyambura went home. Joshua was there standing at the door. She did not like the way he looked at her. Something was wrong. He let her enter without saying a word to her. Mariamu was inside and she, too, did not speak Nyambura. Her father followed her in. Where have you been? His voice was menacing. She was afraid of him. Near the river. Who was with you? I was alone, father. She was trembling. She has gone to the river hoping that her savior would come in a cloud and rescue her, but Wayaki had not come. Her obedience to her father had made her lose him. No one? Yes, you're lying. You're lying. I was alone, father, she insisted. Do not think I am blind. I am not that old. And don't you cheat yourself. I have not heard things. If I hear that you have been sitting with that young devil again, you will no longer live in this house. I have been alone, she burst out, almost crying. I tell you again, if you are seen with him once more, have you not done enough harm in this house? And don't you remember how they burned the hut of a man of God? But let me catch you with him again. There was more than malice in that voice. Nyambura did not say anything else. This was her reward for being true and obedient to him. And because of her obedience, she had lost the one man whom she loved. And with him, her salvation. That night she could not sleep. She wept all the time, praying that God could kill her. Wow. I hope Joshua dies. Okay, pause. Okay, wait. Maybe that's taking it too far. But let's what can I compare this to, right? Okay, you long for something, but you can't have it because somebody else says so. That's all there is to it. And Joshua, I hate your guts. Okay. Hopefully divine retribution gets you. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into chapter 22. This chapter is pretty long, so make yourself comfortable. And now they sang his praise in every hills. He had got them teachers and their children. He had got them teachers and their children would drink the learning they yearn for from these new wells. After all, what were schools without teachers? That had been everybody's worry since the last great meeting. They had trusted Wayaki to do something, but even then, some people had their doubts. Teachers could only be got from the claws of Serenia. Wayaki had done it. Kinuthia now almost worshipped Wayaki. He felt he could serve under him forever. This was an unusual man, he told the elders whom he met, and the elders agreed and nodded with secret knowledge. Wayaki was the son of Chege. They whispered. They knew that Chege had been a great man. Even in his youth, he had said strange things that others could not quite comprehend. Kinuthia still retained his strong political view and was one of the people who believe in action now. Okay, the action now part, it made me think of Malcolm X, right? So I guess in a way, Kinuthia is the embodiment of Malcolm X, and Wayaki is more of like a Martin Luther King. I don't know why I'm using this analogy. I really don't, but that's what came to mind. But regardless, that was why, in a way, he admired Koboni and his Kiyama. These two believed in action against the white man. But a great teacher's vision of a highly learned people carried him along. How could he resist the power of that vision unrolled before him in Wayaki's slow but powerful voice? Not only the voice, the eyes too, carried the vision, and Kinuthia knew that Wayaki believed in this mission. He feared for him because he could see some things that seemed hidden to Wayaki. He could, for instance, recognize that Koboni's hatred of Wayaki had turned into a mission that he had to strengthen with political conviction, which was an integral part of Koboni's vision of freedom of the religious. When Wayaki came back from his second trip to Serenia and told the good news to the inter-rich school committee, Kinuthia felt a warmth, a pride, and joy in his heart. He felt small as he walked beside Wayaki. Would they all come from Kiambu? No. Some would come from Kibiti, Murunga, and Nairobi. They mean to help us, for they too, in a way, are tired of Serenia. They want to help in this Kikuyu Independent School. Kinuthia and Wayaki walked along Honya River in silence. Wayaki was overwhelmed by the warmth and enthusiasm with which his news had been received by the elders. Kinuthia looked at Wayaki's contracted face. He said, "When they come, we must present them to the gathering of parents next year." Yes, we shall. And then suddenly Wayaki turned to Kinuthia. "We must build up the hills. We must capture this enthusiasm. We must build school and a college, a great big college." Kinuthia was moved not so much by the words as by the way in which Wayaki said them. There was fire and conviction in them. Yet he wondered if Wayaki knew that people wanted action now, that the new enthusiasm and awareness embraced more than the mere desire for learning. People wanted to move forward. They could not do so as long as their land were taken, as long as their children were forced to work in the settlers' ridges, as long as their women and men were forced to pay hard tax. He did not want to tell this now, but he will tell him one day, for Kinuthia was convinced that Wayaki was the best man to lead people, not only to create new life through education, but also new opportunity, an area of self-expression to political independence. Wayaki was the best man to lead the Kiyama. Even now, his spirit was responsible for the power the Kiyama and Koboni exercised on the people. The Wayaki noticed, as Kinuthia beheld the fire in the teacher's eyes, he wondered if the vision of a new light had not blinded him. But he believed in him, and he wanted to share in this vision and share in the task of its fulfillment. Kinuthia, however, did not know the extent of Wayaki's dream and vision. How could he know unless he entered those regions of the hearts where doubts and fears struggled? In the darkness where you suddenly lost sight of your hopes and success, shaken to the roots as you woke up at night, or even as you walked along the paths in the country. As Wayaki lay in bed 2 days later, he felt exhausted in body and spirit. He felt as if something evil lurked a few feet behind him, following the path of his success, ready to pounce on him and reduce him to nothing. This was not fear or even despair. It was just a feeling that hovered around him, making him wary, and yet He clung to his vision and let its light illuminate the path ahead. Ever since the burning of the hut, a few days before he left for Serenia, he had been thinking more and more intensely about his people. He looked forward to the day early next year when the parents would gather again, when he would tell them all to unite. But unite for what? To Oyaki, the white man's education was an instrument of enlightenment and advance if only it could be used well. He still remembered his father's words that long time ago when he stood on a hill, the whole country before them. Learn all the wisdom and all the secrets of the white man, but do not follow his vices. Was this then his mission to the rich? He will tell the people, indeed, he had already told them, the children must learn. A man shall rise and save people in the hour of need. Was he the Savior? Was he the promised one? Or had Chege mind been moving, roving? How could he save them? Chege had placed a burden on his shoulder, a burden hard to carry. The Savior did something big, something that had power to change the lives of the people. The Savior did something startling, a thing that happened so suddenly one night that nobody could resist its power. What had he himself done? But now he wanted an opportunity to shout what was oppressing his mind. He would tell the people, unite. That would be early next year. For a moment he dreamed the dream. It was a momentary vision that flashed across his mind and seemed to light the dark corners of his soul. It was the vision of a people who could trust one another, who would sit side by side singing the song of love which harmonized with music from the birds, and all their hearts would beat to the rhythm of the throbbing river. The children would play there, jumping from rock to rocks, splashing the water with rich fathers and mothers sitting in the shade around, talking, watching. Birds sang as they hovered from tree to tree, while farther out in the forest beasts of the land circled around. In the midst of this, Nyambura would stand. The children would come to her. She would talk to the elders. The birds too seemed to listen, and even the beasts stopped moving and stood still. And the song rose, stirring the hearts of all, and their longing for a new life in the future was reflected in the dark eyes of Nyambura. He stretched his hands and wanted to touch her trembling figure as she led him into this song, and then he saw that the hands of the other people, including Joshua, would stretch towards her. For a moment he stood still, fascinated by the sight, and then horror caught him. They were all pulling her into pieces, as if she were a thing of sacrifice to the god of the river, which still flowed with life as he committed this ritual outrage on her. And he too had joined the crowd, and he was cheering her to himself, and she did not cry out because she was now dumb. Then he saw that it was Methone, and she was thrown into the river, and she was saying, I am a woman now. The river carried her with it into a darkness which no one could fathom. Oyaki heart cried, and he knew that she was not there. She had gone, and everybody turned away, not speaking to one another because they felt guilty. They averted their eyes from Oyaki, the teacher, as they passed him. At last, he was left alone. He did not know whether he should follow Mathoni or the crowd. Nyambura now stood in front of him. A flash of joy drove the guilt away, and he ran forward to touch her. She would not let him, and Ryaki wanted to remonstrate with her and remind her of that one time when she had allowed him to hold her in his arm. But he remembered that Nyambura had not agreed to marry him. Why did she refuse? Because she would not disobey her father? Yes, that was the word, obedience. And because she was obedient, he had lost her forever. And his yearning would go on till he died. Death was the end of everything. He was about to open his mouth and tell her that Joshua had led the crowd in tearing her into pieces. Then Weki remembered that he too had chosen the crowd, had acceded to the ritual demands of the tribe, and had shed her blood. Guilt weighed on him. The darkness terrified him. He wanted to scream in horror of himself. He had failed to tell people to unite. Another time, the next time, and he woke up, still panting. Next time. Okay, I believe we are currently halfway through this chapter. Yep, halfway through. So, it's all clear mind. Take a deep breath. And let's get back to reading. Weki shook himself out of the terror of that vision. He was sure that he had not fallen asleep. He felt his face and he was full of sweat. He looked around the hut. It was not late, really. He was only tired and he wanted to rest. But now he knew that he could not sleep. The image that had transfixed him to his bed was too real for him to shake himself from its effect. He wished he would have taken a more active part in the ceremonial activities of the tribe. That, at least, would have given him more comfort and made him feel still one of the people. But the journey's circumcision was coming soon, hardly a week away. The initiation day would coincide with Christmas Day. Ooh. Was this a challenge to Joshua? Dancing and singing was in full swing, and there was a new edge to the song, and circumcised girls were the object of cutting attacks. Everything dirty and impure was heaped on them. They were the impure things of the tribe, and it would bring the wrath of the ancestral spirits on the ridges. A day would come when all days Iriku to be circumcised by force, to rid the land of all impurities. Joshua and his followers took up the challenge. They sang of Christ and his saving power. They sang of a child who was born in Bethlehem, who was put in a manger and had swaddling clothes. It was no good sleeping early. He could not do it. He got out of bed and went to his mother's hut. He wanted to go into the village and talk about the elders and other men of his Rika. For the next few days, he told himself he would lose himself in the life of the rich if he had lost Nyamura. He had not lost his faith in service to the community. His mother had not yet gone to bed. She was not very old, and she sat near the fireplace. Wayaki felt his conscience prick him. He had kept away from her for a long time. He thought, I'll marry soon so that she can have a companion. Then if fear suddenly gripped him, perhaps he will never marry. Wayaki felt as he would fall on his aged mother and her comfort him. as one day when she had soothed him during his second birth. The feeling came and went. He was again calm. He did not want to stay long with his mother, and so he rose to go. "Where are you going, son?" She did not raise her eyes. "Out, mother." She now looked at him, at his strange eyes which spoke of inner agitation. "Uyaki." He turned around sharply, fearfully. His mother stared at him in the eyes. There was a strange tremor in her voice. "Is it true that you're marrying Joshua's daughter?" The rumors spreading like fire in a plain of dry grass. This talk about marrying Nyambura annoyed him. Had she not refused him? She was obedient to her father. Ryaki wondered what he should tell his mother. Tell her that she said no. Should he tell her that he loved Nyambura? He thought of her. She had betrayed him. If only she had agreed. If only he had hope. Then maybe he would be in a position to face any challenge. He would have known what to say when a person confronted him with a question like this. And he hated her. She had taken the path of duty. He too would take the path of duty and stick to the tribe. His father had warned him of contaminating the tribe with the white man's ways. He warned him not to betray the tribe. Would an association with Nyambura not be a betrayal? He would not stand by her. He would not take her part. And he would not trouble his mother with explanations, so Oyaki only said one word. No. And immediately he hated himself. Surely he ought to tell her all. He ought to tell his mother of his secret yearning, of his strong love for Nyambura. She was a mother. She surely could know of a cure. But when he opened his mouth, the words refused to form. Only a light shone in his eyes. His mother went on in their weak voice. You know what this could mean. You must not do it. Fear the voice of Kiyama. It is the voice of the people. When the breath of the people turns against you, it is the greatest curse you can ever get. Uyaki now knew that it would be futile for him to explain. She would not understand in her eyes such a relationship with a girl who was not circumcised would be a betrayal. There was a knock at the door. Kamo entered. Is he well with you all? It is well, Uyaki answered. Glad of the interruption. The elders of Kiyama want to see you. Uyaki had not been invited to appear before the Kiyama since his resignation. He looked at his mother, whose eyes seemed imploring and plainly saying, "Don't go." For a moment, Uyaki thought she was not well. He felt it his duty to be with her, but he now welcomed his chance to talk to Kiyama and come to an understanding with them. If the mission thrust onto him by his father was going to succeed, he had to secure the cooperation of everyone. But he said, "I think mother is ill. It is important that you be there. Were it not so, I would not have come at this hour. You'll only be away for a short time." "All right," he said, avoiding the eyes of his mother, and the two stepped out into the darkness. And that is the end of chapter 22. It was right along. But you know that feeling, right? When you and this significant other are talking, and this one person, right, says you two look great together, and the person that you like says, "You know." Yeah, imagine that feeling. That's probably the feeling that Uyaki felt when he told his mother no. Just Imagine that feeling. I'm pretty sure that's what he felt. I'm just saying, but like, I may be right, like I may be wrong. There's one chapter left for today's video. This video is already 45 minutes long. It is. I don't plan on editing this video at all, so. Jeez, it's long. Holy. Okay. Let's get comfortable and let's get into chapter 23. Why does the Kiyama want me? Oyaki asked again as soon as they had stepped out. Oh, I don't know exactly. Kamo answered vaguely, yet with a note of finality that invited no more questions. Oyaki's mind was behind with his mother and remembered the frightening image that had passed through his mind while he had lain awake in bed. He looked around him in the darkness and felt the terror of nothing visible pursue him. It is dark night, he recommended. It is dark, Kamo agreed. The two never held a long conversation together, not unless there was a third person. Kinhu Thea had always been the third person. Kamo saw in Oyaki the hawk that always snatched his piece of meat when he himself was about to eat it. How would he ever rise or succeed as long as Oyaki was in the way? He came to hate him. The hatred had grown slowly, gathering violence as the years dragged on, and yet Kamo felt more and more powerless to fight against Oyaki. He could never quite rouse himself to the effort. The lone hut to which they went was a distance from Kabonye's group of mud huts. The outside was dimly lit by a small lantern that was put on a stone near the fireplace. In the fireplace were glowing pieces of wood which gave an oppressive warmth to the hut. Oyaki was aware of figures lurking in the edge of darkness, and he took them for the elders. Is it well with you all? It is well. There was not the same warmth of response as they did not call him the teacher, the title which was now his name. He sat on a stool and wondered what was coming. It was Kabonye who first spoke. He was old, very old, yet his eyes had yet glittered in them that made you think they were only alive things in him. But he had energy, and you could detect this in his voice. He spoke about the ridges, the initiation ceremonies that were under preparation. Now this ancient custom was about to be ruined by certain impurities in the land. The disease in the ridge had started with Joshua. The death of Methoni had been the first contamination. But that is not out of fear. The trouble now comes because impurity in Joshua's has caught some in our midst. It is the hidden soul in your body that kills you. Here, he looked at Oyaki meaningfully. A numbness came over the teacher as he heard Kabuni speak. He did not know where the talk was leading, but he could guess. He remembered Kinuthia warning the elders, hint of his own mother's question, Oyaki's thought, and all this while I had busied myself with education of the children. Something like bitterness began to eat into him. To hear Kabuni speak in that voice, they would never think he had once been one of Joshua's followers. Yes, Kabuni repeated slowly. There was a strange stillness in the hut. It was a stillness such as precedes a storm. I'm sorry, for something I can't read today. It was a stillness that precedes a storm or an explosion. It is bad when He who has taken himself to be leader of the people is touched by impurity, for he is still in a position to spread the tahu to those close to him, to the stem and roots of the tribe. Such a person is a danger and needs cleansing. Again, Kiboni paused and his eyes rolled all around the hut, finally resting on Wayaki. He could not tell if there was malice or scorn in that look. He spoke in an even voice, and his words were measured. You, our teacher, no doubt remember that girl. What was her name? Which girl? Wayaki forced himself to ask. I am in the dark. Joshua's daughter. Her name? Yes, Rathoni. She was not clean, yet you took her to the hospital. You touched a dying woman, a dead body. And were you ever cleansed? I do not think so, but you ought to have been. You're not ignorant, and you know what this meant to the tribe. Wayaki was going to speak, but Kaboni waved him into silence. I have not finished. That is the first thing you have done to the tribe. It is not a small thing. Then you were not a teacher, a person to whom we entrusted our children. But since you rose into the position in which you are, you have deliberately worked against the tribe. How many times have you been in Joshua's church? How many? No, wait. You have also been to Serenia. How many times? We know of two. You never told anybody that you were going there. Do you expect us to believe that you went to get teachers? Do you? You'll have to tell us of any secret stealing between you, Joshua and Serenia. Will you sell us to the white man? You see how restless and impatient our people are. They cry for a leader to save them from slavery, and you who ought to have led them. Stop! Wayaki shouted with anger, then realized that he ought not to shout at a man much older than himself. I do not know what you were talking about. He tried to regulate his voice with difficulty. He wanted to rise and cry. You fool, you fool. He felt very. He wriggled within and remained stuck to his seat. Another elder was speaking. It was the same elder who was dropped hints to Wayaki a few weeks back. Betrayal. Betrayal is a bad thing for a man in a position of influence. The curse of the people falls on him. You elders will remember Nganiara. He was a great warrior. He led the tribe. But what happened? He was tempted by a Messiah woman. He betrayed the tribe's secrets to the enemy. The curse of the people destroyed him. I could mention Wengira. He added a few more names of those who had been unfaithful to the tribe and were in the end caught by the wrath of the people. That is why we warn you today. That is why you must tell us the truth. Are you marrying Joshua's daughter or not? For unless we know the position, how can we entrust our secrets to you? How can we know they will not later reach the white man? Yes. At last it has come. It had come. Ooh, this is getting good. Yet he ought to have known. He was now on trial at Mukuyu, and he did not feel that he wanted to defend himself. Yet he spoke, forcing himself to remain calm. Elders, I do not know how such accusation based on rumors could ever reach me from your mouths. I am young. I think that you should be led, and where we go wrong, you, our fathers, can and should correct us. Yet as there is something more than the desire to correct in his accusation, I took Matern to the hospital because she was ill. I could never have let her die. If I was in a position to help, I am not the person who initiated her. If she was unclean, why did the elders not object to her initiation? When she died, I did not touch her. As for Serenia, I can only tell you that I have never entered any negotiation with the white man. I had gone there to try and get teachers for a school which agreed to build. There's no secret dealing between me and Joshua. I have never spoken to him. What about conversations? Kaboni asked. What has it had to do with anybody? Wayaki asked. Anger getting it concerned to drive the people and the purity, another elder put in. Kaboni and the Kiyama asking him to stand by their beliefs that will destroy his mission. Destroy his mission of healing the rift between Makuyu and Camino, between Joshua and the others. His mission of enlightenment through education would come to nothing. No, he could not be threatened into standing by Kaboni, and he came under the power of Kaboni. All the work he had tried to do for the last few years would be annihilated. He must make his stand clear. Again, he forced himself to remain calm. I too am concerned with the purity of the tribe. I am also concerned with the growth and development of the rage. We cannot do things through hatreds. We must be united, Christian and non-Christian, Makuyu and Camino, for salvation of the hills lies in our hand. Yet you will not fight the white man, an elder interrupted. Our land is gone slowly, taken from us, while we and our young men sit like women, watching. Another elder put in, and we and our wives are forced to pay taxes. Still another follow. The schools where I keep pleaded with passion. We must know what the white man knows. We need a leader, a political leader, education. Like I started to say, nothing. We need action now, Kabuni said triumphantly. We have not yet replied to our worries. This girl, Joshua's daughter, you are marrying her. Wayaki rose. He was now really exasperated. What had Nyambura got to do with them? What could he not do? What? No, it says what with like a question mark. So, what? Could he not do whatever he wanted with his own life? Or was his life not his own? He will tell them nothing about Nyambura. Nyambura has nothing to do with this. If I love her, I love her. If you have nothing else to tell me, I will go. Remember the oath. The oath, you took it. I did not forbid. It did not forbid me to love people. It forbade you to betray the tribe or reveal the secrets or to do anything unclean which might ruin us. He would not discuss Nyambura, the girl who had rejected him. He looked at Kabuni. Hatred was all over the remaining light a lantern could reveal. The gleam of Kamo's eyes spoke of silent triumphs. Wayaki now knew that even Kamo hated him. Yet, Wayaki was more annoyed with himself, for he felt he had not put up a good fight. Maybe he had lost grip with the tribe. Maybe he did not know where he was leading them. As he left them, he walked out the words. Traitor followed him, and he wondered if he had actually seen all the consequences of the awareness he had aroused in the hills. But bitterness and frustration mingled and drove him away. He felt angry with everybody, his own father, Nyambura, the elders, and with himself. Goboni felt non-triumphant as he faced the elders. Elders of the tribe, I told you, you will not believe me. He has not denied associating with Joshua or the white man. How can he continue to be a teacher? How can we go following him? Where is he leading us? He is always like this, an elder said sadly. It is the girl. The girl has turned his mind the wrong way. As we said earlier, one more elder commented, all the Christians should be circumcised by force. Yes, a few voices assented, but not all, for some feared that such action would bring Tahu to the land. Okay, this is the end of chapter 23, and I must say this right here, right now. I hate the elders. All of them should burn, die in a hole. I don't get what happens to them. I hate their guts. They should not be included in this book any further. I don't want to read about them. But what would Wayaki do though? In the next video, it will come out later this week. It will cover chapter 24 to 26. 3 chapters in the last 3 chapters. And hopefully, Wayaki ends up with Nyambura. And hopefully they don't die. because if they do that, that will like break my heart. So I'm kind of sad about that. But regardless, my name is Ivan, and I thank you for listening. And as always, have a good day and be good people. Bye.